Across the icy front lines of eastern Ukraine, a startling development is unfolding. Russian troops are being taken out by an opponent they can't spot, can't challenge, and can't flee from. This is not science fiction. It's the new face of conflict. I'm a Wise, and this is a Wise News, where we break down the world's most important geopolitical events. Today, we're looking at a high-tech nightmare emerging in Kupiansk, a place where Russia's advance has run headfirst into a network of self-operating machines. What you're about to learn signals a dramatic transformation in how wars are fought. Everything has shifted. Combat has entered a new phase. And for Vladimir Putin's forces, escape may no longer be an option. Fewer than 100 Russian soldiers are believed to still be inside Kupiansk. Not long ago, Putin publicly declared the city taken. Now, those remaining troops are facing near-total destruction by a robotic system that never tires, never hesitates, and puts no human operators in danger. Before moving forward, take a moment. If you value independent coverage of global conflicts, press the subscribe button and join a Wise News. This work depends on your support. Share your thoughts in the comments and pass this video along to anyone who wants to understand what's truly happening in this war. Your engagement keeps this channel going. Let's look at what Russia attempted on January 20th. Several urgent attacks were launched at the same time. From the north of Kupiansk, Russian units moved toward Halubka. From the east, they advanced on Petropavka, Podolye, and Kucherivka. Another push came from the southeast, aimed at Pishin, Stepova, Novifa, and Kurylifa. The objective was straightforward: surround Kupiansk, isolate Ukrainian forces, and reclaim the city Putin had already claimed as his own. The Institute for the Study of War reviewed these operations and reached a blunt verdict: Russia made no progress. That leads to a crucial question: what's stopping them? The explanation is unlike anything seen before. Ukraine has established lethal control zones around Kupiansk that extend as far as 25 kilometers from the front. Picture a 15-mile deep danger zone, watched around the clock by first-person view drones. These aren't passive defenses. They actively search. Surveillance drones examine every stretch of ground. The moment movement appears, FPV drones are released. They rush in, overwhelm, and neutralize targets. Russian foot soldiers can't relocate without being detected. Armored vehicles are wiped out well before reaching fighting positions. According to the new voice of Ukraine, Russian troops are now confined to operating within just 1 kilometer. In today's warfare, that's almost a guaranteed loss. Limited mobility leads to repeated routes, and repeated routes turn into easy targets. Whether already inside these zones or attempting to approach them, Russian forces face the same outcome. The Ukrainian unit behind this system uses the call sign Orion. Reports from military describe what Orion has assembled as nothing short of a robotic force. The numbers are astonishing. Up to 88% of Russian units are destroyed before reaching their planned attack points. Nearly 9 out of 10 eliminated before a fight even begins. This automated force is built in layers. Recon drones maintain non-stop observation from above. FPV drones wait in controlled airspace, ready to act. Mavic drones add further monitoring and strike support. And that's not all. Ground-based robots are also active in the Kupiansk area. While details about their missions remain limited, it's clear they do far more than transport equipment. Less than 2 weeks ago, Ukraine revealed a ground robot that traveled over 20 kilometers to deliver 12 anti-tank mines straight into a Russian position. The resulting explosion caused massive damage. Now think about that capability repeated again and again. Picture Russian troops settled into what they believe is a secure bunker, preparing their next move, when a small, unmanned vehicle quietly enters, carrying enough explosives to wipe out the entire unit. That is the situation confronting Putin's forces today. One captured Russian soldier offers the most revealing insight into what these control zones truly represent. His call sign is Bunak. His role was to lead assault teams through Ukraine's drone-controlled areas and guide them to attack positions. That assignment alone shows how dangerous the situation had become. Bunak attempted this task 3 times. Each time, every soldier he escorted was killed. Not some of them, all of them. Bunak was the only one to survive each attempt. On his 4th mission, he made a different choice. He surrendered to a Ukrainian drone, raising a white flag toward a machine in the sky. Given what he had witnessed, it's hard to question that decision. Military explains why escape is nearly impossible once troops enter these zones. The wide range of drones ensures that every attempt to slip through eventually fails. Observation never stops. The moment Russian soldiers are detected, as many as 5 FPV drones rush toward them. In some cases, a single target is hit by up to 12 drones at once. One explosive drone is lethal. A coordinated group is total destruction. There is no realistic way to outrun them. This approach, however, didn't appear by accident. It solves a major challenge Ukraine faced earlier in the conflict. Vladislav Zalatarov, an officer with the Orion unit, explained the logic behind it. Ukraine realized the core problem wasn't troop numbers or equipment shortages. The real answer was stopping Russia from moving and gaining ground. An opponent that cannot secure positions cannot push forward. An opponent that cannot push forward is left exposed, roaming until drones locate them. What Ukraine has created is a structured drone barrier that steadily dismantles Russian forces while keeping Ukrainian soldiers at a safe distance. This directly addresses Ukraine's central dilemma: how to cause maximum losses for Russia while protecting its own troops. The Institute for the Study of War sees major potential in this method. If Ukraine can reproduce this robotic defense along the entire front line, it could block Russian advances everywhere and create openings for Ukrainian countermoves. The front line spans roughly 1,250 kilometers, or about 800 miles. Covering such a vast area requires massive drone output and a huge number of trained operators. Still, signs suggest Ukraine is not only expanding this system, but making real progress. ISW analysts suggest pushing the concept even further. If Ukraine can prevent Russian vehicles from operating within 50 kilometers of the front, Russian infantry would be forced to travel extreme distances on foot. 50 kilometers, more than 30 miles, is far beyond what infantry can manage effectively without vehicles, supplies, and reinforcements. Ukraine appears to have planned for this possibility already. In December, Euromaidan Press reported that these drone-controlled zones now extend beyond Kupiansk to areas like Pokers and Derilia. In these regions, constant drone activity works alongside artillery and air strikes, hitting Russian positions on both sides of the front. Ruslan Muzychuk, a spokesperson for Ukraine's National Guard, explained that these zones are not limited to the space between opposing forces. They extend deep past defensive lines in both directions, serving multiple strategic purposes. Russia has also begun building its own drone-heavy zones to block Ukrainian advances. Still, these areas matter far more to Ukraine than to Russia. Russia is on the offensive. Putin orders his troops to push forward, straight into Ukrainian defenses and directly into these lethal areas. Ukrainian forces, by contrast, can operate in smaller, controlled groups behind their own zones, knowing that any Russian soldiers who survive the drone pressure will be weakened and easier to defeat. For Ukraine, Russian drone zones are dangerous, but Ukrainian attacks are launched carefully and only when success is likely. Mid-range drones will play a key role in dealing with these threats. Ukraine's Belava and Ram-2X drones can travel up to 100 kilometers. If a Russian drone command center is identified, these systems can remove it, opening space for Ukrainian action. Still, defense remains the main focus. To maintain this advantage, Ukraine must continue producing drones at a high rate. Once again, signs indicate it is moving quickly. Billions have already been invested in manufacturing and acquiring short-range drones, placing Ukraine ahead of schedule in building and sustaining this new form of battlefield control. In December, the Kyiv Independent reported that Ukraine is expected to receive close to 3 million drones by the end of 2025. Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Denis Shmyhal explained that this figure is almost 2.5 times greater than the total number of drones Ukraine had produced or acquired by the end of 2024. 3 million drones, built with intention, not excess. While drone-controlled zones are a major reason behind this surge, Ukraine's ambitions extend even further. On January 21st, the Straits Times revealed that Ukraine plans to depend heavily on drones as a key asymmetric tool in a long-term strategy meant to exhaust Russia and force an end to the war. Ukraine's new defense minister, Mikhailo Fedorov, announced a major shift, replacing Chinese-made Mavic drones with Ukrainian-built alternatives. This move cuts reliance on foreign suppliers, especially countries that also provide equipment to Russia. Ukraine is already testing a locally produced version with better cameras and longer flight time, and trials may begin as soon as this month. The pace is striking. Ukraine is scaling production rapidly and thinking big. If Fedorov's technology-driven plan succeeds, the drone control model seen around Kupiansk could spread across the entire country. But what truly makes these zones so powerful isn't just the number of drones. Their strength lies in how every layer works together to turn wide areas into carefully constructed traps. United 24 Media offered a rare look inside one of these zones. Control of terrain paired with layered defenses is the foundation. Imagine being a Russian soldier sent into such an area. Drones hum above, hidden among branches, difficult to spot. Surveillance units may already have you marked. FPV units could be lining up their approach. You advance on foot because armored vehicles offer little help here. The ground itself is hostile. Mines are everywhere. Concrete obstacles, anti-tank ditches, and metal barriers slow vehicles until they become easy targets. Wrecked remains of earlier assaults to the land as warnings. Thick coils of barbed wire restrict movement, while nearly invisible strands, known as platona, slice through boots and into flesh. Underground tunnels allow Ukrainian troops to observe quietly and strike without warning. Technically, it's possible to move through this maze. Careful paths exist, but those routes are placed there on purpose. Ukraine wants soldiers to follow them. Forced into narrow corridors, boxed in by explosives and wire, retreat becomes impossible. Then comes the sound, a sharp electronic buzz overhead. An FPV drone drops toward you. Ukraine had been watching from the start. Even if the first drone misses, it changes nothing. More already on the way, sometimes many at once. The outcome is unavoidable. This is the reality of these zones. Drones are only one part of a much larger system, but they tie everything together. That's why 88% of Russian forces near Kupiansk are eliminated before they even begin an assault. Politico described the result as a chaotic gray area stretching nearly 20 kilometers from the front. Soldiers are tracked constantly. The wounded are often left behind because evacuation is nearly impossible. Supplies, ammo, food, water rarely reach the front. Russia has tried to adjust. Forbes writer Vikram Mittal noted that these zones disrupt Russian operations and often freeze progress entirely. Moscow has increased its use of ground robots, though for now they mostly carry supplies. Russian commanders also send very small units, sometimes just 5 soldiers, hoping to slip through unnoticed. Even if these teams reach cities like Kupiansk, they can only dig in and wait, hoping reinforcements arrive before Ukrainian drones locate them. That's why fewer than 100 Russian soldiers remain in Kupiansk today. But the larger objective goes beyond territory. This strategy is about wear and exhaustion, draining manpower, equipment, and money. The Atlantic Council reported that Ukraine has poured resources into strengthening defenses along the entire front, maintaining the standoff while steadily reducing Russian forces. Defense Minister Fedorov set an ambitious goal: 50,000 Russian casualties per month. Last month, 35,000 were confirmed, many recorded on video. These drone-controlled zones already play a major role in that figure. Ukraine now controls 90% of Kupiansk and has achieved a 27-to-1 casualty ratio against Russian forces there. Fedorov's target is bold, but not unrealistic. Ukraine has the drones, it has the technology, and it has the system to use them effectively. Subscribe to Awise News right now. Share your thoughts in the comments. Spread this video so others understand what's unfolding. One question remains: can Russia endure a war fought against machines? Thanks for watching.